Good evening, everyone. My name is Suzanne Steele, and I've been writing for over 50 years. I've been a journalist, I'm an author, I'm a writer, memoirist, and memoirist late, very late in life. At any rate, I'm one of the members of the Writer Spirit, which you can find on Facebook under the Writer Spirit. And we work with and have been working with writers, helping them manifest an idea to flow, meaning from head to their hand, or typewriter or computer, as the case may be, into something solid. We call ourselves the angels of chaos because that is what writing is about. It is a lot of ideas, a lot of change, a lot of things that get scattered, and how to put it together where it makes sense. That it's a process. We're not editors, we're not crafters. Uh, we do one-on-one with individuals that ask, hey, I've got this idea, where do I begin? Or I've run into this blog, or hey, how many drafts do I do? Those kinds of things. We share tips to help them manifest it into something solid. Well, during this process, many people have asked, and we don't only work with creative writers, memoirists, and journalists. We work with people that are doing a term paper, essays, an intellectual dissertation. Basically, that idea to manifestation. And many that have completed it and reviewed it have said, oh, gee, my writing even improved. And maybe this process should be shared with non-writers and writers alike, showing them how the purpose of it is not necessarily to get to the outcome or the manifestation they wanted at the beginning, but that going through the process, in other words, falling in love with the process rather than staying committed to the outcome, will actually give them outcomes they never dreamed of, because that is what everyone has found out. So we came up with and compiled the elements of what we've been using, and we saw that it could be used for both writers and non-writers, called the music method, which are memories united. They do shift and integrate cycles. And memories, many people think of as past, and your past, your experiences. And memories are composed of what's in our head, the story, which again is something writers love, as well as what's in the body, which is the bodily sensations that memory created. And as adults, many of us forget those bodily sensations. We just ruminate that story on and on and on in that head. And it's not only our past memories, but it can be our present memory, which means our present self, that in 10 seconds it's now a memory, as well as our family backstory that we inherited. Once we unite the past, present, and future, we found that everything shifts and becomes integrated, allowing us to break an open cycle so new things can come in. Because what happens when you hold stories so tightly is that nothing new can come in, no air can come in. So this is basically the purpose of the music method. And many people say to us that, and I have a person going through it today and right now, and another one starting tomorrow, new people, is they ask, is the music method right for me? Well, I'm going to ask you, are you like that woman on the left, which was me, but only an avatar now, or cartoon, that yes, I had been in successful careers, made good money, was at the top of my game. I did projects and I wasn't task oriented, but got everything done. Worked on community building, manifested communities. I worked in local government. I worked in the private sector for many years and always was promoted. Always was what I would consider, or the world would consider, a success. But even though all that, I never really felt comfortable. And I felt like, oh, I really should have said that. Or if I said it, I shouldn't have said it. That self-defeating, mugging ourselves, or, you know, kicking ourselves. And I just always felt like this. I mean, I literally sat like this, all hunched up. And that's how I felt. Or if I was in a more, let's say, casual social experience, like on the right, whether it was with family or friends, yes, I had a good time. I talked to them. I could even describe, me being a writer, everything they wore. I could hear the dishes clink. I could smell every savory morsel. But the idea that I would have to, and this is what I say about people like me, the idea that I had the social skill to know when to ask for them to pass me, or please pass me the salt, I just kind of blurted it out. I just didn't felt there was something separating me from these people, and they would be people that I, was born into a family, as well as good friends and colleagues. And so one of the things, if you those are pictorial, but one of the things we have found from people that have taken or used the music process is one of the things that drew them to it is they felt they all had successes in their career, and even had met the goals of their career, but they kept feeling they had a bigger mission or purpose, that this career just kind of set them up for something bigger, something greater, something more contributing, they felt, to the community. And again, I want to say, and when I say again, I don't know if I've said it yet, but I say it so much. Community is not where we live. Community is the world. It's the people that we are around at any given time. And anyway, as a result, they asked, is there a way I can repurpose all these past and present successes to attain this mission? In other words, I don't want to relearn how to, how to be a psychologist when my background's been in accounting, and that's where my successes have been. I've been an investment banker. We have shown them that, yeah, the reason you did really well as an investment banker is you're really visionary. That's a strength. And the reason they want to do all this is they want to speak, which is what the heart of the writer's spirit, always speak and find, or first find and then speak at all times in their authentic voice and display their authentic self. And the reason being is the results will be that they will shift their past, present, and future relationships. And when we say relationships, we just don't mean with another person, family, friends, colleagues, romantic. We are saying that the relationships with money, your housing, your perspective, your mental, your physical, all those relationships you have, spiritual, start to shift, which then, as a result, instead of trying to always find the tribe, which is the tribe that supports you in your community, instead of always trying to find it, those people you need and that will support you as you work your mission or your purpose in the community will be attracted to you and will be there to support you without you doing anything. And that's the last point, is that most people, including me, we've all gone through years of self-development and professional development, and we've done all those little things they tell us to do, and we've used those tools, and we get a momentary shift or change, but we have to do a lot of work. And it always seems to snap back like a rubber band where we were, or maybe we're like a step ahead, but then we're back. And so this process we found, and others have said, that the transformations and the shifts occur all on their own. Just as they work the process, things start shifting. They don't have to consciously do anything. And one of the other things with this method is it is customized. You work at your own pace and time, and it's one-on-one. Many people don't want to really discuss this in a group, or they don't feel they have enough time to discuss the process and what they're discovering and what they're feeling at the time. And we do want to say this does not really replace traditional therapy or spiritual mentoring or emotional therapy. This is the music process, and the way we've used it is to supplement, to work alongside that. For instance, a lot of people will write something and then they'll share it with their therapist. And as they're sharing it, they're validating what they've been feeling and thinking. But they also are, when the therapist says you were, whatever the psychological term is, they go, oh, okay. But they're done with the story, they're done with the feelings. They've let it out. Now new stuff can come in. And we're not saying it's like in any therapy, it's easy, but they're ready to let new things come in. And in fact, as they're going through the process, and I know from someone who has done it, when things started leaving me, the story, the feelings, I felt empty. I was like, I'm missing something. And it was like, well, now something new can come in. And it took a while, but I felt empty. And the process, which is unique about it too, besides being customized, created for you, or the steps are there, but we put them in a format that's right for you, as well as you doing it on your own pace. As I said in the beginning, we create it from the top down. In other words, you first determine the goal, where you want to be. If you say, I want to be a more I want to find my purpose. Okay, we'll start there and then put the steps, which will engage all the music process to do it, but we'll start there. And one of the things is you do all this because it creates outcomes better than you dreamed. So many times you'll say, my goal is purpose, and I know I just want to find purpose. As you go through the process, you'll find your original purpose. And I'll say one that when I was working through this process, I was writing at the time a memoir. And my goal was to tell the story that had been hidden for so long. When I got done with the process, my goal was purpose was to tell and show everyone, which I think the music process and working with the spirit, writer's spirit fulfills, is to show everyone by telling and showing their story, they will shift their future as well as their future generations. And so that became my purpose, rather than just telling the story. From working from the process top to bottom, I said, well, that isn't really my process any longer. So here are the outcomes better than I dreamed. Is housing. Okay, I want a big mansion. I don't know what I had said. Or, basically, I think it was, I wanted a big enough place that I could entertain all my friends and have groups and all this, and teach them writing, or have not teach them writing, but all these writers could get together and we could, kind of like a salon type thing of the old days. Well, before the process, I had a 500 square foot rental here in Pennsylvania. I did my best to pay each month. And I think it was 500, I think it was $1 square foot, 500, maybe 550. Well, that obviously wasn't good enough or not good enough, big enough to bring everybody in. Well, after the process, I have a 1,300 square foot rental here in Pennsylvania, townhome, 2 floors that I people in and do the salon, but it's in a different way. It's one-on-one, or was before the pandemic. Plus, I own a 1,500 square foot lake home. And they're both paying for themselves. I'm not even having to make more money for them. My location changed at least every 3 years since birth. I mean, I was always moving. Either my parents were moving and obviously I had to go with them, or I was moving. It was like I was always restless. Now I've been in one location, it says 9 years, now it's been over 10. And this family home I bought has been in the family for about 100, and was not in my goal to buy, not at all. It was something I was running, I was nothing. It wasn't even anything I was thinking about. Finances. I worked hard for what I earned and wanted. Um, I worked, 14, 16 hours a day. And when I talk about this process, I also want to say this I took 2 years. Like, you don't have to take as long as I do. You don't have to do all the as deep as I went. It's designed that you can work it at your own pace, take a break for a month, work the tools, take a break for a week, work the tools, and then when you're ready, go further. That's all. You don't have to. I'm working with one person, I'm working every week. Most I do, um, or we do. I think another person is working like once every 2 weeks. All depends on their schedule. I hear, but I was doing it. I don't even say I was doing it once a month. It was just working. Um, anyway, my finances, I worked hard for what I wanted. I had a steady job, um, and never really had time for any of my passion. Now I allow what I have to supply all my needs. I have 4 checking accounts. Nothing's really changed. It just seems like I have money to always pay my bills. Career, I was employed by others. Now I run, or I wouldn't say I run, but I'm part of 5 entrepreneurial businesses. Perspective, it was always, what do I want in the future? I was always seeming to reach out, trying to get the golden ring. And never, I mean, parts of it would come, but not all of it. Now I just see what I need now. And instead of worrying about the future, then the next step comes and I work that step, or opportunity. Emotional, my mind told me how I felt, and then my body took action accordingly. In other words, I f- I want I've got to stay up 14 hours to get this presentation done, and I'm demanding my body do it. Now my body tells me I'm energized. Let's start now. Or it says, I'm tired. I need a break. So I balance it. I don't work straight 14 hours. I work maybe an hour or two, then I may take a walk, I may do yoga, whatever. And then I may come back to walk my dog because I think you can hear me um, uh, barking, sorry, as well as I may do I have 3 mentors I work with. I may do one of their exercises. Non-family relationships. Before I did the process or the method, I re, I remained in abusive ones and moved away from the healthy. And when I say abusive, I don't know if I would necessarily say physical. No, I wouldn't. I would say they were more emotional in the sense that, they would ghost me or they would shame me or, I don't want to say ridicule, but they were covert in it. And I always feel bad, but I would stay with them thinking, I've got to improve, right? I don't know if any of you felt that way. And then the people that just seem to accept me, I'd say, oh, they're not challenging enough. They're kind of boring. There's something deep to them. Well, since I worked the process, I kind of reconnected with old friends that I thought weren't very exciting. New ones that I never anticipated have appeared, and those abusive ones have just kind of slid away by themselves. I'm not saying I don't talk to them, but instead of being in my inner circle, and when we talk about tribe, or we do, is I'll tell you what, there's like different circles of that. And those ones that are really close to me that I can depend on, they're maybe a little bit further back. I may call them if I only want to go on a trip or I need my car picked up, something like that. But I'm not depending on them for all my support because they're limited as well as me in what I want to give to it. Community, I observed rather than was an active participant. I would sit and observe. I really would not any community. And here I'm in local government. I really would only get involved at certain points when it got contentious, and I felt I had to as part of my job. Um, but now I'm a community and facility engager. So, well, not now, but after the process, and I have a knack for. I always say it's like Rudyard Kipling. It's a poem. If if you can walk with kings and not lose your common touch, I just have that way of I don't care if you're the king, or I don't care if you are the person that is unemployed. I'm going to treat you equally. And I kind of set that playing field. And we also work on, though, deeper issues, and not so much on a confrontational debate way to sway the one side from the other, but to say, okay, we agree to disagree. And there's always a point of agreement on one topic or not. If nothing else, we want to get out of here in an hour. Okay. Family relationships. Outside one maternal cousin and son, I was either strained or limited to once a year Christmas cards. Um, since the process, I speak to my sister, and I say 4 times a week, probably twice a week now. When I wrote this, 4 times a week. My brother once a month, and we're probably more like 4 times a year right now. And not because our relationship's any different, but just circumstances arise, and we are in a pandemic, and she's sheltering in one state, he's sheltering in another. But when I wrote this, they both helped me pay for my mortgage in Wisconsin, or my brother did, and my sister my utilities, and my strained father, who unfortunately, since I put this together for the for my colleagues, my father died a year ago. But before he died, his tone was much more congenial with me, and he even wrote and said he was proud. Health and appearance, I had an irregular heartbeat, IBS, asthma, ulcers, yo-yo dieting and exercise, sleep. I still have that. I usually wear curly, but today I didn't. Professional clothing and full makeup. Well, since this process, and also I smoked at least a pack a day for 45 years. And I think I tried quitting, including when I had my son, and I quit when I was with him, but actually on the delivery table, I almost had a cigarette. I think I had it when we left the hospital. So since the process, I've honored that I smoked. Again, not shame myself. I honored the cigarette, what it had done for me, what it helped me do, and I haven't smoked. I have just a half a pill a day for the regular heartbeat. The IBS, I can't remember the last time that kicked up. My asthma, with it being summer and spring, is kind of kicked up. My ulcers, I can't remember that. I try to do consistent healthy eating. I will say with the pandemic, sweets have been my weak spot, and probably not smoking as well. But I do have a regular exercise regime, and I say my hair is usually massive tangles, which is true, but today for this, and I would say tangles, more like curls, or waves, I did blow dry it and into a smooth. And then my clothing, it's pretty casual, and I wear minimal makeup. The process also, or the method, provides you, which I really like, with daily tools that you can use and reuse now and in the future. And why that's a question mark is, would you want that kind of a process? And a process that only requested form of payment would be until 7/31. No money, just your suggestions and comments to improve the process as you work it, because we're trying to launch this. Your honest testimonial and or review for publication upon completion, and your curious mind and open heart ready to embark on the adventure. That's all we're asking for July 31st through July 31st, 20. We're being funded. So we don't need to charge for this. We just want to launch it and get it out there to as many people as we can to at least begin it and see if they want to proceed and go from there. But it will be free through July 31st. So to schedule a time to discuss your first note, musical notes, and why we call it the music method is just words, thoughts, triggers, whatever word you want to call it. There's a limited amount of them. Yes, we all have, and stories. There's a limited amount. They're all comprised of notes or words. It's just, they're all chaotic. And so you've got to find that first note to start. Just think of a composition. There's what, eight? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, 10 notes um, that are the same. And yes, they vary in beat and time, but they're the same notes. It's just how you put them together. So if you'd like to schedule a time to discuss your first note, here's our email, thewriterspirit@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you and start working with you. And I thank you for this time today. Good night. Oh, boy.